This is Auditory Anthology, a podcast featuring the best sci-fi short fiction. I'm your curator, Keith Conrad. If you like what you hear, I hope you'll take the time to rate and review our show on your podcast player of choice, and be sure to recommend it to a friend. That'll help us grow the show and continue to share these stories with you each and every week. If you have a story you'd like to contribute to the series, you can visit submissions.soundconceptmedia.com or just follow the link in the show notes. In this special episode, we're presenting the opening act of a three-part miniseries, The Illusion of Unity. When an amateur radio operator hears a radio signal from space, it sends the entire human race on a multi-generational journey with consequences no one could have seen coming.
Hey, Jerry. Yeah, I know. I know. Everyone knows this story, right? We can't skip the beginning just because it's well-trodden ground. If we're going to tell this story, we should tell it from the very beginning. Can you make sure the tone is right? I want it to feel respectful, but also there's that edge, you know? People had no idea what was going to happen back then. It was July 3rd, 2025. The day everything changed. Or maybe it was the day we realized everything had already changed. An amateur radio operator heard something. It was a radio signal. Then the ships were discovered. Everyone knows what happened next. You heard it from your parents and grandparents. The panic, the debates, the sleepless nights. But it's important we revisit this. How humanity, in one moment, went from thinking we were alone in the universe to realizing we might not survive meeting our neighbors. Hey, Jerry, this is where we need the music to swell just a bit. You know what I'm looking for. At 8 p.m. Central, look toward the moon. Halfway between the moon and the horizon, you'll see a fading point of light. It might seem insignificant, a speck against the vast night sky. But that light is far more than what it seems. That fading point of light might be humanity's last hope. Hundreds of ships built by every nation on Earth, by people who put aside their differences, their fears, and their doubts, all for this one moment. Those ships, crafted from the best of our technology, our ingenuity, are out there in the cold expanse of space, on a mission unlike anything we've ever attempted. They're speeding toward their destination in the outer solar system, where they'll face the unknown. Jerry, make sure we get the timing right on this. I want people to feel the buildup. It's almost poetic, isn't it, that the fleet is so small from here, so distant. But out there, they're preparing for a confrontation that will decide the fate of every person on this planet. It's strange to think about, really. The whole world, every country united by a common purpose, to protect our home, to protect each other. And all the while, we're here, looking up at that tiny point of light, waiting for news, for hope, or for something else entirely. Let's add a faint hum of the fleet's engines here, Jerry. That'll make it a little more immersive for the audience. The truth is, none of us knows what's going to happen next. But that's always been the way with space, hasn't it? The final frontier, the great unknown. And now, it's not about discovery, it's about survival. So tonight, wherever you are, take a moment to look up. That fading point of light is more than just a fleet. It's all of us, together, facing the darkness, hoping to see the dawn. We've all heard the story before. It's a tale passed down like folklore at this point. The day humanity first realized we weren't alone in the universe. It didn't start with a grand announcement from a space agency or a world leader. It all began with a single, solitary voice. The year was 2025. The world was still reeling from its usual array of challenges, political tensions, climate crises, technological upheavals. Meet Harold Brenner, a retired engineer living alone in a small town in upstate New York. Harold had a hobby, one that might seem outdated to us now, but it was his passion. He spent countless nights hunched over his amateur radio, scanning the airwaves for something different. And on July 3rd, at 2:17 a.m., he found it. What you're about to hear is the original recording from that night. Harold, in his modest home, picked up a signal that would change the course of human history. It's raw, unfiltered, and for many, it's the moment the world changed forever.
This is Harold Brenner recording on July 3rd. I don't know what I'm hearing. It's not natural. I've never heard anything like this. I've checked every frequency, every possibility, but it's coming from out there, way out there. I don't know who or what is sending this, but it's not from around here.
Harold's discovery didn't make headlines right away. It was just a curious blip on the radar for a handful of scientists and radio enthusiasts. Some scientists theorized it was one of the Pioneer spacecraft we'd lost track of years ago. But within days, as more and more stations picked up the signal, it became clear. This was no ordinary radio burst. This was communication. The world was caught off guard. Speculation ran wild. Was it a hoax? A glitch? But as the signal persisted for days, the reality became undeniable. We were not alone, and something, or someone, was trying to reach us. We'll need to make sure the audio quality on that clip is as clear as possible. It's old, but it's an important part of the episode. If Harold Brenner's discovery was the spark, then the NASA press conference that followed was the explosion. The world was already on edge. Speculation, fear, and hope swirling in a chaotic mix. But it wasn't until July 7th, 2025, that the truth was laid bare for everyone to see. For 4 days, the signal had been analyzed, scrutinized by the brightest minds on the planet. Then NASA finally stepped forward to address the world. I want to transition into the NASA clip here, Jerry. Let the silence linger just a bit before the audio starts.
Good afternoon. For those that don't know me, my name is Dr. Emily Carson, and I'm the head of the Office of Communications for NASA. Over the past several days, our teams have been working tirelessly to analyze the signal that was first detected on July 3rd. Today, we are prepared to share our findings with the world. The signal we have intercepted, it's not a natural phenomenon. It is, in fact, a transmission originating from a fleet of spacecraft. The fleet, they're traveling at sublight speed, actually slightly slower than the Voyager 2 spacecraft, which indicates that their technology, while advanced, operates within the same physical constraints as our own. Our analysis suggests that the fleet is composed of dozens of vessels, and while we cannot determine their exact intentions at this time, their trajectory is clear. They are heading directly towards our solar system.
Dr. Carson's words sent shockwaves around the globe. It was one thing to speculate about life beyond our planet. It was another entirely to confront the reality of an incoming alien fleet. The implications were staggering. The fact that they were traveling at sublight speeds suggested something profound. These beings, whoever they were, weren't gods or omnipotent beings. They had technology that, while different, was actually comprehensible to us. They were in some ways like us, and that realization brought with it both comfort and terror. Jerry, make sure that Dr. Carson's voice is crystal clear. I know it's tough with all of the noise from the reporters. That press conference marked the beginning of a new era, an era where humanity was no longer alone and where every decision, every action was weighed against the impending arrival of the aliens. But that was just the beginning. In the days that followed, the world would grapple with what this meant, politically, socially, and spiritually. It was going to take decades for them to get here. Many of the people alive when the signal was first detected wouldn't even be alive when they finally arrived. The days following NASA's announcement were a blur of activity. Plans drawn up in a frenzy, alliances forged. Every resource, every ounce of human ingenuity was funneled into one singular goal: to meet the alien fleet head-on, far from Earth, in the outer reaches of our solar system. The following is a transmission from Commander Nathan Cole, leader of the human fleet, sent just before their final approach. What can possibly be going through his mind at a time like this?
This is Commander Nathan Cole of the Odyssey, speaking to all of Earth. In a few hours, we will make contact with the alien fleet. We can already see their ships in the distance. I want all of you to know we are ready. We're trained for this. We've prepared for every scenario we can imagine. We are committed, every last one of us, to doing whatever it takes to protect our home, our families, our way of life. We know what's at stake. We've encountered complications on this flight, but it's a reminder that space is unforgiving, that even the best laid plans can go awry. Whatever happens next, I want you to know that we will face it together. We are united, not just as a crew, but as a species. And that's our greatest strength.
Let's add some music there, but make sure the tension in his voice comes through. It's important that the listeners feel that. Okay, Jerry, just put that together and I'll start working on the next episode.
Our story in this special episode of Auditory Anthology is The Illusion of Unity by Keith Conrad. It features the voice talents of Zack Bennett as Harold Brenner, Jen DeSalvo as Dr. Emily Carson, Chris Duffy as Commander Nathan Cole, and your narrator as always is Darren Marlar. We'll have Act 2 next week. In our regular episode posting on Thursday, we'll have a story called Gambit by Reddit user Cobell, a fragmented consciousness trapped in an endless quantum game of timelines and possibilities struggles to remember its humanity while endlessly shaping and collapsing the universe. Sounds like fun.